So we are now on day 2 and we've had a bit of an emotional morning, not gonna lie, haven't we, darling?
Should we come and sit in here and maybe just do a quick video on it?
Yeah.
That was one fucking hell of a morning.
Oh, we have, haven't we?
Which completely out of the blue as well.
I know.
We did not even see it coming.
We kind of
see it coming last night.
Yeah. Because we ended up. We had a few drinks, and then you were saying that the drink had kind of put you into that lower vibration, like feeling a few little triggers here and there.
Yeah.
So then this morning we ended up like going into it a little bit, didn't we? I was just like gave him the space to sort of open up and talk about the triggers and like what you actually felt.
And then went
into what it all meant to you, like the feeling of being triggered. And then we literally opened up Pandora's box, didn't we?
Yeah. It's just like opening up a layer of my psyche, another layer. It's like you feel like you get through a layer and then it's like you become aware of like another blank spot in yourself. And then, you know, it's down to you to inquire into that blank spot, like what is it? So, you know, for me it was a lot of self-denial, actually. Self-denial of the fact that I don't give enough, that I haven't given enough in my life, and contained within that realisation. And the kind of way in which I was dressing it up is like, the way in which I was denying it is I was kind of like spiritually denying it on the fact that I'm going through a transformation, but really it come down to the fact that in truth and in my life, I haven't given enough. You know, in this case, in this scenario, it was actually Lauren that helped me go through this, but realising that there's a level of myself that doesn't want to love.
And doesn't want to give.
And doesn't want to give. But the only reason I don't give is because I don't want to love. And then when I went into that part, there was so much guilt and so much pain because
that surface level was actually just keeping you safe of I don't want to love, like I'm not going to give because it's not safe to give, it's not safe to love, it's not safe, and that was like the surface where was preventing you from going deeper into
the actual pain
of it.
Which, you know, when I went into the pain of it, it was like guilt, pure guilt and punishment. Like when I said, like, first of all I had this realisation that this is how men punish women, because it felt like I was punishing you by not wanting to give. I felt like I was punishing the other person. You know, I've been punishing everybody in my reality because I don't want to give to them. And so there was a level of guilt in there, a level of punishment, but then as I went deeper, what I was actually doing was punishing myself. And then as I went even deeper into that self-punishment, it was like I was starting to see my rebellion against love, against God. And then in that there was just so much more pain, and I feel like that because it literally began to take me back to like the very start of creation, when that first rebellion happened against God, or when that first rebellion, that movement away from love. And I had that, you know, Barry Long was one of my teachers. I listened to a podcast and he was talking about Lucifer. And he said in it, and I never really grasped it until today, that Lucifer was a rebellion against God. Lucifer is a man without love. So it's what we class as the devil is actually when we actually cut ourselves off from love. And then that starts the punishment. We self-punish ourselves, and that punishment is from...
It keeps us disconnected from love.
It's what disconnects us from love, and it disconnects us from everybody.
And it attaches us to the suffering.
Yeah.
So let's just tell our viewers, like, what was the surface level of the triggers? Because this is how we can, you know, show them the surface, like the proper surface level of the triggers that were happening yesterday that allowed us to go deep into this realisation was what?
So the surface triggers, like, and I've been aware of this as a man, but, you know, this used to provoke me in a lot of old relationships. But it was something that's still coming up, that I was still observing coming up in my consciousness. It's like, I've had this thing about like geezers looking at my lady, and that would kind of be like men, like as men we'd justify that as my girl, but no, I was seeing that it was coming from like a deeper wound.
Yeah, but keep on that surface level, and also there was another one of me looking.
And women, you know, your girl looking at other guys.
So anyone we're walking past, it was like you were on high alert.
Yeah, it's like you're living on a higher state of alert, like. And then when we come a little bit beneath that...
But this is something that people don't even want to address. You even saying this,
yeah, well,
it's like you can feel like a bit of a... Yeah, because it's embarrassing and it's humiliating. It's like... It's embarrassing to feel like you're that jealous. Yeah. And I think a lot of women and men do feel this, like, you know, so they keep it in. So you get in that level. So the first level we were talking about, because you've said, but you've come a long way, because originally what you would do with those triggers... I would have reacted to the triggers.
I would have been like... high alert, and I would have been like actively bogging people out, or like, you know,
like what you're looking at my
creating confrontation with people. Conflict. That's how I was dealing with it. I was creating conflict.
And then
in my relationships.
If your girlfriend at the time was looking at someone else, you'd be like, "What the fuck are you looking at?" You'd actually react from it, and then cause arguments between the relationship. The jealousy took over the relationship, and hence you were in a volatile relationship. For so long, until you actually took ownership of these feelings, knowing they were from the past, right?
Yeah.
So you were even knowing, because you were saying, didn't want to tell you this because I'm not reacting from it, but it actually was still keeping you safe and not going through the layers.
Yeah.
Because even though you weren't reacting from it, and yes, great, you've come a long way, there were still so many layers to this.
Well, actually,
feelings.
Now that you said that, because like beneath that layer was like, because when we said earlier, when we started going into it, I was like, okay, what's beneath that layer? And then there was that feeling of like, you're always out to hurt me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel safe. And then actually, as we went beneath that feeling, the reason why I didn't feel safe is because I didn't feel like I could complete you, that I could fulfill you, that I could satisfy you. Mm-hmm. And then actually beneath that feeling of feeling like I can't satisfy my woman is the feeling of, is then the recognition of, I don't want to give.
Ah, okay. So what about the bit where she doesn't, like, she's going to leave me?
Yeah.
When did that come? That she could leave, she's going to go home somewhere else?
But the pain, but why is she going to leave me?
Yeah,
see, this
that's what I mean. I was taking you down into that.
And then you was like, okay, but what happens if I left you?
What does that mean to you?
And then it means I wasn't enough. I didn't provide enough. And then that opened up the layer
you were scared to go through that. He was like, I was enough. Because, but that doesn't feel anything to me. I went, you're emotionally numb to that.
Yeah, and that's when I realised, as you started saying it, I was like, okay, here's a layer of my consciousness that I haven't been in, that I've been suppressing. And then we began to go into that even more, and then it was like, okay, so why is she going to leave me? And it was like, okay, because then there was the pain of not being enough, of not being able to please.
Provide,
and then as a cut,
please,
please, financially support, however you want to look at it, it was because I wasn't being enough. And then actually when I come into... okay, what's beneath not being enough?
Because the justification was on top of that.
Yeah,
but I am enough. You're not going to find a guy that's
spiritual
like me, or
some guy that's going through this shit that can actually truly
which is
love
the truth. Don't get me wrong, but it's still avoiding justifying
another truth.
Yes, of the fact that there is a part of you that feels not good enough.
And literally, I can still feel it now. Like I'm. But anyway, so
it's a good 3 hours of crying.
Yeah. So we come into that layer of. Not being able to please, and then it opened up the pain, that part of myself that I'd shut off from, opened up the pain that I don't want to love. And contained within the feelings of I don't want to love is I don't want to give. And then that's where the pain of the guilt comes from, because I don't want to give to you. Yeah. And then it started to go even deeper, where I was leaving Lauren and the physical reality, and it was going energetically into the realisation that I was actually feeling guilty because I was rebelling against love. Because I didn't want to allow myself to feel love. I didn't want to allow... to give love. To feel love and to give love. So, and then it started going deeper into the realisation I'm actually rebelling against God. I'm actually rebelling against love. And then
the guilt that you've been doing it for your whole life.
Yeah. And the pain was actually in the guilt that I didn't want to feel love for myself, and I didn't want to express love.
Yeah.
And then that's when I started to go even deeper and realising that, you know, my whole life has been a rebellion against love, which has created the whole darkness from which I've lived my life, and from which I've punished myself and punished everybody around me.
Yeah, so there's a lot of tears to be shed from that guilt. And that's the thing, it's like, it all comes from a feeling of unsafety. It all comes of a feeling like you fear to love, because love to you when you were a kid, it wasn't there. So,
but that's
you know, there's all like these links. You know, everyone may think that they've had the perfect childhood, or, you know, you might not have had the perfect child, but either way, whatever perspective you're coming from, if you are still carrying some kind of self-sabotage in your life, and you just, you know, you're aware of this self-sabotage, you know, you press this self-destruct button and you hold yourself back from achieving, you hold yourself back from giving, you hold yourself back from a lot. Like, if this is actually playing out in your reality, there's so much depth behind this, why you do this, and it's like, it is up to us to discover. You know, obviously we're doing the work and we're not afraid to share the work. We pretty much wear our relationship on our sleeve.
All the bloody crying.
Yeah,
but to be honest, I'm happy.
Both of us, I cried as well. Like, there was,
did, yeah.
And then, you know, there was a lot of realization in me of like the fact that why I go for.
Yeah. You said, "What? Look." You was like, "What do I?
What do I deserve?"
And then that's when it really hit me. It was like, because you deserve everything. But the only reason you don't have everything is because I don't want to give everything.
Yeah.
And a woman, like the woman in reality, is the reflection of love. Is the reflection of God. So the only reason I don't want to give to you is because I don't want to be connected to God, which means I don't want to be connected to you. I don't want to feel love, which means I don't want to give love, which means I don't want to be connected to my love in reality, which is you.
So women who are in relationships like this, they settle for less. They settle for, well, I can't get enough, so it destroys their worth. And, you know, and
let's put the camera down and put it on both of us.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you said a very important thing about how women's constantly. You said something that really.
You might need the.
That really, you know, hit deep about how women always support.
Yeah.
That's good, isn't it?
Well, if we're like this.
Well, that's fine. Are we
let's
still
rest
recording?
it on something.
Got my phone as well.
Oh, brilliant. I'm like an absolute joke. Okay.
Yeah, cool.
So, yeah, what were we saying? But what I realised.
Just what you said about, you know, how woman is always waiting for man.
Yeah, all my relationships, it's like I always see potential. Like, I'm one of those. I do see potential in everyone. I always see like people's like truth of like, you're more than this. You can do this. You've got this. You know. I've always come from a fixer relationship. So like, I'd always go with guys that need fixing. The saviour. There's something in that I've been learning a lot about myself as well. But it's the realisation of that.
Well, you know what the fixing comes from?
What?
Comes from that dynamic of control.
Yeah. Yeah, and being in control and being.
Because if you're there to fix them, they're dependent upon
me,
you.
so then that will keep me safe. So this is the realisation we've actually been having recently, but also the fact that you know, any of my relationships, I've always just like, you know, I've put up with, you know, all of these things that, like, you know, not being treated well enough, whether it be emotionally supportive or financially having support, or, you know, be it any of them. Like, I've had a mixture of relationships where I've had one but not the other, and, you know, obviously we're on this mission. Every woman, I'm a woman. I'm talking from my own experience, but, you know, I there is that need for wanting it all and wanting the acknowledgement, you know, wanting to be able to have your needs met. So, you know, the reasons behind, you know, every relationship I've gone in, and, you know, why I've self-destruct or not, because, you know, you're constantly, come on, like, you know, I'm wanting you to provide, you know, that for me. But at the same time, it's like, you're in that level of, not, well, I never knew my worth, so I did settle for less. But like, at the end of the day, I've experienced all types of relationships, whether or not they'd be financially dependent or not, or there's always been something missing. But what, to me, my need, that's what I was trying to say to you, was like, I don't need all the money in the world. Like, I can provide my own security and my own financial dependent, and like, but at the same time, it was still coming from a codependent place, because if I meet someone that, you know, because I related that someone who was financially dependent wasn't emotionally available, so they'd have control over me, which freaked me out, and I didn't feel safe in that relationship. Whereas if I had the control and I had the dependency and the finances, then I could keep that, I could, you know, make that person reliant on me, so then I can feel more safe.
And this is all happening subconsciously. You're not even consciously aware. It's subconsciously driven.
We've been really going deep into it. Why I attract the same men that my mum attracts. Why I attract that same dynamic, and it is because of that whole
dependency and feeling safe. So, you know, for me, like, number one, I want to feel safe in a relationship, and two, I want someone to be emotionally available for me and to understand me, to hear me, to support me. Like, they are my key, and I've met someone who does make me feel safe and does emotionally fulfill me. So in that perspective, over everything of like being him being, you'll be able to financially take care of me and stuff like that, yes, it would release pressure off of me 100%, but it also, it's coming from my dynamic of I've got to feel safe in that as well,
of
for
not
you
having,
to trust that if you do become financially successful and don't need me, am I still going to feel safe in this relationship? So there's always dynamics playing out in any relationship that you're in, and it's up to you to sort of be having that open communication between both of you of, you know, your jealousy traits were coming out in our relationship and my control dynamic was coming out in our relationship. So in order for us to be able to heal these parts of ourselves that are still trying to cling on and keep safe, it's the communication. And it's that openness to be able to discuss openly about like our own feelings and, you know, and our own fears. And it's like so important. So, you know, whether or not that everything else doesn't matter. Like I said to you, I could live in a tent, like it doesn't bother me. I love camping. Like I could have the minimal, like we could literally, we were talking about getting a little van and doing it up and living on the road. Like that to me is everything. But obviously I do want to be able to, you know, me asking you that question, what is it I deserve? Because there's still a part of me that doesn't actually know if I'm going to get everything that I deserve. Like the full shebang of like, you know, having that amazing home, having that, you know, that lifestyle where we can go and travel where we want to travel and not think about like money as a restriction.
Interesting to see where we're at in a couple of years.
Yeah, but like it is true. Like it's like those fears of like maybe I don't deserve it all and I will settle for less. Like, you know, and you still get other people saying, "Oh, you deserve." Well, I hope he's treating you for your birthday, and then like at the same time, it's like you can't financially treat me how you want to treat me at the moment, and I totally accept that. Like, but at the same time, it's like. But me asking you was quite a vulnerable question. Like, what is it? What do I deserve? Is this what I deserve? And then that's when you allowed yourself to feel the pain of like, you fucking deserve everything, and I can't give that to you right now. And you actually felt that pain underneath all of that unworthiness. Like, you know what you can give me right now, and that is commitment and safety. Like that is a thing you know in you. Like there's not one part of you that knows that you can't provide that, right?
No, I know.
But there's the other aspects of his life. But there has been emotional avoidance to, like excuses, justification in that area of like, you know, well, she's never going to find a man that's, you know, can reach you in the way I can reach you, which is true.
On one level.
But the other level is that what if that isn't fulfilling enough for me in the future? Yeah. What if like I have like 3 kids and I want to be able to put them through a great education and be able to do, and I am doing it all on my own. I get so stressed out that down the line I'm just freaking out that I can't juggle everything.
But then that's probably something we'd need to look at and go further into.
No, exactly.
Because the important thing about doing the work is like I would have never ever been able to financially support you and to give you everything unless I'd gone into that layer of myself that wouldn't actually allow myself, until I've allowed myself to feel the pain of that, I would have never been able to give it regardless. No. Hence why before I got with you, like I was self-sustained in my own place and I had my own money and I was debt-free, but I was still codependent because it wasn't coming through my own purpose, it was coming through me having to work with other people.
For other people.
And what the funny thing was is that when I got with Lauren, she was like, right, stop going to work, stop working for other people. And I was like, yeah, but I ain't going to have no finance. And then like, so I left all my other jobs and I completely lost control of having financial stability. But then that's where you've like, obviously we're stable in certain areas that I'm still paying for. It's not a complete dependency on Lauren. No. There's still, I have financially sustained myself, but I haven't been able to actually give you anything. I haven't been able to give you the luxuries of the hotels and the holidays and the stuff that you've actually been giving to me. Yeah. But I feel like this dynamic has definitely played out for the reason
to really see it.
For us to both see it, because if I hadn't have left the work, I wouldn't have been able to see how much I don't, the pain of not wanting to give.
And then also that's playing out in my part of the dynamic of if you were to be able to do all this for me, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't probably want it and appreciate. Yeah, you'd feel more vulnerable
because the fact that
the power dynamic would have changed.
Yeah. Whereas I feel like I've still got that control dynamic
You do, yeah.
Which is just.
But
Really
there's stuff we're always
see.
working through together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
it's creating that space.
This
to be
has
able
been
to see these sides of like, otherwise you're just living on the surface and just, you know, that you know, you'll be living on the jealousy roles of just like that playing out like, oh, who's she gonna leave me for? Next best thing, you know what I mean? Like he'll be living like that on edge all the time, thinking I'm gonna leave him for someone else. But then in my dynamic, it's just like, you know, that control dynamic plays out of like, right, I've got to make sure like I'm doing everything so then I can keep myself safe with him. But it's like, it's that trust dynamic.
Yeah, but then
like
again, if you look at
balance.
it, the reason why you like to have that position.
But I don't.
No,
it's
I know
so
you
strange.
don't. I know you don't.
I don't. But obviously, reality is that
but I'm just thinking, right? Maybe you do that not only just to keep yourself safe, but because you also believe that you can't provide in
my most vulnerable way.
In your most vulnerable way, like in the same way that I can't provide, that I don't want to be open, that I don't want to be connected to love, that I don't want to express love.
Maybe.
So maybe that's how. Yeah, but I say that I've been saying the same thing, that I am in so much more of a state of love. But how deep can that state of love go?
Yeah, that is true.
So anyway, but this is still unfolding as always.
Literally, it's just crazy.
Our journey
but
is
I
always
think,
unfolding.
but from what you were saying, it's not about the love for me because I give love unconditionally anyways.
I know.
But it's more so on the fact of like feeling safe. There's still like.
But if I start coming into my own financial stability, then you're going to start to feel the vulnerability of not having the control through the finances. Yeah. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, we're going to have to see. But it is just mad because the more we go through these layers, the more closer we get. And it's like...
Well, I was saying to Lauren, I feel like, you know, if people want to know what the point of life is, we actually talked about it the other day. I know the point of life is to journey back to God, or to journey back to love, to make that journey through the pain and through the suffering and coming back to...
Because I asked you, after you went through all of that emotion and that pain, I said, what have you unlocked in you now? And I said that to you, and what do you feel in yourself now? Once you've passed through that pain, what are you feeling in yourself now?
Just the acknowledgement of how much I have to give, not how much I want to give, but how much I have to give, how much love I have to give. Yeah,
and that you will do anything to give that.
Yeah.
Whereas before you were avoiding it. So it's just nice because everyone gets so scared they emotionally avoid all of these pains. They don't want to feel these pains because they're bloody painful. Like you can't escape the pain of that, can you? I can feel the pain. It made me cry. I was crying. You were crying. We were both like, it was the core pain, which, yes, I understand why everyone tries to avoid that. They numb it by drinking. They go out and avoid by doing drugs. They go and distract themselves. They put the head in the sand, in work, whatever it is, to just distract the fact of this feeling. But actually through the feeling, you connect back to the love. So the only way to heal, guys, is to feel this pain. And we're all living on this surface, avoiding this pain, when actually you need to go through the pain to feel the love again. Because in that love, in that grief, you're feeling the compassion. Through the pain of the guilt, he's allowing himself to cry, to feel the compassion he has of himself, to feel the forgiveness and the pain of fuck, I've seen this, oh my God, and in that compassion, in that love, in that grief, you're coming back to love, you're fixing yourself. And it is the only way. You can't avoid these pains, and to be able to do this work together is just an absolute honour,
I'm so blessed. Because what we do with our clients, we do with each other.
Yeah.
So when we're working with our clients, the work that we do with our clients is what we are constantly always doing in our relationship. Yeah. Not always, but when the emotions arise or when things arise,
a safe ground in order to connect, to be open, to be vulnerable. We're so vulnerable with our clients, and our clients really open up to us. Yeah, because we don't judge anyone. We completely give people an open space to be able to release these emotions. And people, sometimes they come to us and think they're going to be healed after one session. It's not like that. And the thing is, it's even if you are on this journey on your own and you haven't got a supportive partner to be able to do this work with, having that boost of help to get into that alignment with yourself, to just do enough work in yourself to be able to attract a partner to do the rest of the work with you is the key to life. One, it helps your bank account because obviously, what we do is it is our business, and at the same time we're giving our energy in order to help serve others as well. But at the same time, it's like getting that to that point of just releasing enough emotional layer within the person singly for them to attract that partner who they can go on a journey with as well, and to be having that open communication. Like, I feel like it's something that everyone longs for, is to have that, even someone in your family to be able to do the work with, but having a loving, intimate relationship where the vulnerability is through the roof.
Yeah, like, but that's the problem, right? If you used to say to yourself a few years back, I want somebody that's going to be emotionally vulnerable and somebody that I can go through a healing journey with, you're not going to something you just see, you automatically deny that in yourself. 100%. Like, no person's going to want that with me, so you automatically deny what you need. And I'd also be very scared of vulnerable people. So what would happen to me is, like, when I saw a pure vulnerability in someone, it'd freak me out. I'd think they were weak and needy, and it would cause me to shut off, and then like and to shut off as well. But and that's what I said to you when in that moment of me giving that space to you and not shutting off and being like, oh, come on, just like get over it or whatever. Deal with it. Come on, like, stop being dramatic, which is a natural mechanism we always do. I actually was like, you know what? That is what women, they fear a weak man because they don't feel safe. So in that point, I was like, wow, like, if actually women allowed their man to be completely open and vulnerable, to allow these wounds to come up, you're actually going to create more of a safe relationship anyways. Yet we fear that because we fear that needy, vulnerable men are not safe to be with. See, that's exactly what you spoke about earlier, which is what I wanted you to get on camera. Yeah. Because women do automatically what you're crying for, because when they see a weakness in a man, it's like, it's such a shock for a woman, because a woman looks for a man to feel safe in herself. So the moment she sees vulnerability in a man, most women feel safe with it brings the vulnerability in her. Yeah, because they're disconnected in themselves. So there's so much we're discovering, and obviously we don't want to go on too much. But no, you just hit a nail on the head, because women don't like to see vulnerable men, because it makes them feel vulnerable when women are looking for the safety in a man. But until a man's vulnerable, there's no safety in him. I know. And it's weird because no matter how much we talk about these things, like, obviously some people will relate, some people won't, but it's something that you will, you know, even watching this video, you guys may hit this later on in your life and be like, I fucking understand it now. Like, you'll get it. There'll be like a moment of realization, thinking, fuck, I get it. Like, and it happens on the journey of, you know, it's the difference between knowledge and experience. Yeah. 100%. But you acknowledge what Barry Long was saying until today it hit me as a direct experience. So it is just like, it's giving yourself that space to educate yourself, to learn, like, to take it in, and then when it happens to you in your reality, it's like, boom, cool, like, I'm not alone in this. Do you know what I mean? There it is. I've got it. And I've done that. I've done that. That's the powerful thing about having a spiritual teacher. Is the spiritual teacher imbues you with the knowledge. Yeah. And you don't even have to work it out mentally. The knowledge just sinks into you because it is part of who you are. It's part of your being. So being exposed to knowledge, that knowledge just resonates and absorbs into the knowledge that you already are. And then you have experience, and experience validates and verifies the knowledge. And then with knowledge and experience, you gain the wisdom, which is the two together, which equals knowing. I would say the wisdom is knowing. Knowledge is not knowing without experience, but knowledge and experience bring wisdom, which is knowing. I love that. That's good, isn't it? Yeah. Love that. So that was our morning. Let's have a London trip. And we're gonna enjoy the rest of the day. It's like 12 o'clock now, so gonna get some food. We haven't even eaten, have we? And this room feels quite heavy. Well, they'll come in and cleanse feng shui. We'll let them take their heavy energy with them. At least we're in a hotel, just clearing it. Oh, it's fine. Anyway, good chat. Mwah. We'll see you guys for the rest of our day. Hey, isn't it? It's a great statue, isn't it? Look. Can't really see the bed at the moment. It's all under reconstruction. And then we've got a cathedral. David Lloyd. See you, David. Bird shit, isn't it? It's a sign of good luck, the old bird shit at the end. So we're in Covent Garden. Found this very cute bar, Avo Bar, which means we get a lot of avocado, which we love. Look at this. Got my
juice.
What juice you got there, darling?
Carrot, apple, ginger, and orange.
It's very nice. And then what did you order?
It's like avo and poached eggs, which is like the classic. What I always go for. Can't go wrong with a bit of avo and toast.
And I've got this bad boy. It actually looks really nice.
Looks great.
And then where are we going after?
Just going to go in for a little exploration. Just go round. We just know we get to John Lewis. That's the destination. And then along the way, we might stop for a cocktail. We might stop at a museum. We have no clue, do we?
We go with the flow.
Go with the flow.
Anyway, check out the restaurant.
We thought we'd film us walking through this amazing.
Well, you just had a really nice picture taken. It's nice though. It's a nice little feature. Pretty cool. So currently, where are we, baby? Selfridges.
It's the most amazing building. We're going to go to the rooftop.
And have some food.
Smell that.
Oh, it's so good to have my smell bag since COVID. I haven't been able to smell anything for like 2 weeks, so it's nice to walk into a perfume shop and be able to actually smell some perfume. But we're going to go to St. Louis, alright? Huh? That's kind of cool, isn't it?
Literally.
Fucking big enough piece of cucumber in there.
Look at this.
It's nice.
Such a nice cocktail. The lovely flowers next to us as well. The sun setting in the background. So we've just dived in on the food. Pretty nice, right?
It's banging.
Munch.